You can buy a lot of laptops with the best value for money, gaming performance, and of course, for work and play. But what if we have 15k budget and we need a laptop for online school, online teaching, and of course, virtual assistant? So this is the Asus R541UA, one of the laptop that is quite affordable in the budget spectrum. Back in 2016, this is really an affordable laptop for the money, but in 2021, is it worth getting? So first things first, you can see that this is a ViewBook laptop, one of the most affordable laptops under 30,000 pesos for the i3 variant that we have one right here. The Asus X541UA is an international type with a different keyboard layout. First things first, you can see it is lightweight, average build quality, and the design is looking trendy even in 2021. It doesn't have any kind of looks for its design that many people wanted a slimmer laptop. It doesn't disappoint. Ports wise, you can see optical drive, security lock slot, SD card reader, some status LED for power and battery indicator, and lastly we have two sets of USB ports, HDMI, VGA, combo audio jack, DC power in, and of course let's not forget to mention the USB Type-C. So you can see that this laptop has a TN panel screen that is not really great by modern standards. I do actually expect for this kind of value that is really quite presentable, but you can tell that this one is very decent and really okay if you're going to use this laptop for basic use. The colors are washed out when tilting viewing angles, and the glare coating making it unusable outdoors with some major reflections. But on the bottom side, we have the full-size keyboard that is really good and really huge amount of travel for this kind of laptop. It is really responsive even though it's quite spongy as an average typist and doing some work online. It is really good to type on even for a long typing session. Touchpad, responsive, Asus precision driver that is really good, especially for its dimension. And if you want to use a mouse for better navigation, that is no exception for your needs, especially when we go to the webcam. It's not really one of the most perfect webcam at 0.3 megapixel that I could actually recommend you to have 720p if you're going to do some virtual assistant or even online work. As a student, online classes is not actually a bad deal for a 0.3 megapixel, but for the specs, is a huge deal. So this one, we have the base model Intel Core i3-6006U paired with 4GB of DDR4 memory, a 640GB HDD, and last but not least, let's not forget to mention the Intel HD 520. And also we have some of the technical specs that you can pause the video because what we're going to do is we're going to benchmark in terms of 2021 use. Word documents and all the other stuffs that you always do like basic web browsing is no exception for this laptop since the i3 processor can still handle many of today's tasks. The 6006U is really a good CPU even in 2021, but the painfully slow 5400 RPM really defines the odds that it will struggle a ton, and the 4GB of RAM will not be efficient enough if you're going to play some games, especially for editors who wanted to use Adobe Premiere or Photoshop if you're going to do some intense photo editing. But more in which, the thermals in this one is really cool, especially when it comes to thermal throttle that is 0. It doesn't have any kind of fan noise that is really annoying, but you can actually use this one for office work. But more on that on the upgrades, you can only upgrade on this model right here are the memory that is only one slot that you can upgrade to 16 gigs, Wi-Fi card to go to a Wi-Fi AC or AX. Especially changing the hard drive to an SSD, you have the best of both worlds. So now let's talk about gaming performance. The 520 graphics card is not really quite the best of the best. There are some games that will not handle, but the 4GB of RAM really suffers a ton, having either 8GB or 16GB of RAM for this kind of model. But when it comes to the speakers, it is really great sounding, especially for this kind of laptop at its value price point. With the use of the included software, you can actually edit some of the controls and the feeling on the laptop speaker, whether you wanted to have the best of both worlds. As always, bass is quite present but not that punchy, but the mids and highs are actually kinda well balanced. So it's time for the battery, and this is one of the best sweet spot for this laptop to handle. 3.50 hours in terms of PC Mark 8, the Wi-Fi turned on at a minimum brightness. This one can extend up to 5.20 hours, especially if you're going to use this laptop for your work at home, especially for students. You can see on our graph that this one is no exception. From its performance on the battery runtime, the i3-6006U packs a punch when it comes to efficient TDP, making which that the laptop CPU is pretty much not hungry when it comes to its power, that you can use this one on a whole day of class or even when you're doing online classes and virtual assistant. So here we go with the question. Is it usable in 2021? Well, the answer is yes, depending on what you're going to have. Especially if we are going to buy a laptop second-hand, there are some minor roadblock. Lifespan on the battery, trackpad, or LCD is something that you might guys find something that is quite a concern. So you can get this laptop for an affordable price, but there will be a video on how to buy second-hand laptops to get it really good for the budget price point that you have on your pocket that is going to be really affordable. But as always, the X541UA is one of the most affordable laptop in the second-hand market, that you can get this one whether on Marketplace or any other websites that you always browse for a laptop in that kind of price point. So leave a like, share to your friends, sub, and tap on the notification bell. And this is Norms, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.